Let's talk about the fact that sometimes men say that they like strong women. That's a lie.
So now psychologically, I have to tell myself that I don't need a man to survive, right? I gotta survive. I gotta take care of these things, and I have to step up, especially if they have children.
Now you have to realize that no man with common sense gonna put up with your nonsense. So instead of blaming the devil or whatever spirit, you need to look at yourself and stop being rude and ugly.
Welcome back to this episode. So today we're going to talk about something that's just going on in our community, something very important. We're going to talk about relationship. We're going to talk about marriage specifically. And also when we say relationship, that also includes people who are not in marriage, unmarried or unmarried folks. So we are back. I am Patricia and Obel is here and Dr. Belizer is here with us. So this is going to be a very rich conversation. We ask that you stay with us and start sharing this episode so more people can benefit from it. So let's go with the questions.
More of a conversation
All
because
right.
I think this topic, we have so many experts right nowadays telling us about relationships. So I just want to put a disclaimer that by no means, well, you are an expert,
No,
obviously.
Well,
in terms of
this is a conversation.
it's a
like you said.
conversation,
Yeah.
but I don't want people to take this conversation in terms of like, oh, well, they're telling me what to do with my personal relationship.
To go leave your husband.
To go leave your husband or so and so. So we're by no means trying to tell you what to do, but based on experiences and what we understand based on research and acquired experience and knowledge, we're trying to share that with you. So hopefully this conversation can be healing for all of us here too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it's a question of expert telling people what to do. I think it's to encourage folks to look at what you've been doing over the past 10 or 15 years. If it's been working, continue to do the same thing.
Wow.
If it's not working, then change it.
Then change it.
Or, that's basically, I don't like people telling me what to do, then I don't tell people what to do.
Exactly.
You could do, mourir jonvle, tout moun gamoun, on fait
Yep,
semblé.
yep.
Dégoûté à
Je suis
50 comme.
grand dans mon lacaille.
Yeah, there you go. You comprend? So, but I think no one can argue with success.
Yeah.
No one can argue with failure because the results are there.
Exactly.
So, and I think that's the purpose of that conversation, is to take a look within.
Deep dive.
Yeah, within and ask yourself, am I on the path that I'm supposed to be? That do I feel fulfilled in the path that I am on right now? You should not listen to people. Most people telling you what to do.
They don't know.
Don't relax.
Exactly.
Do you?
Exactly.
But you must have some understanding of what you're doing. If you don't know what the heck you're doing, yet you don't want to ask for feedbacks or direction, then you're an idiot.
That's true.
Do you have a mission for your marriage?
Exactly.
I guess we can start from there. I mean, you can't enter a relationship without having an indication on where it's going or where you want it to go. Maybe it doesn't go exactly where you wanted it to go 10 years ago, but there should always be an indicator to know, this, I can use this as a measurement to know if I'm doing well, because I can't compare it to my parents' marriage. I can't compare it to everybody's marriage or the couple's goal or whatever it's going on social media or wherever else. So it has to be my own indicator of success within my marriage that will tell me whether it's going the way that I want it to go. Right?
So pause. I want us to do our icebreaker because it is our tradition.
Oh, Lord have mercy. What is this?
This is why I'm here.
We're breaking the ice in the
This
middle.
is why I'm here.
All right.
I want to break the ice.
Break the ice.
So my question, since we're on this topic of relationship, what is that one piece of advice about relationship you got from either your mom, your dad, somebody, whomever, that stuck with you that you think is still helping you till this day?
My God.
Well, I don't know if I get it from mom or dad or society or wherever it is. I think before you get in a relationship with the person, get to understand the person's way of thinking and doing business, way of doing business. I think a marriage is it's a business.
It's a business. Right?
I want to get to know you. Does my common sense makes sense with your common sense.
Whew.
Does that make sense?
Well, if you don't have common sense,
Right, but the thing is,
does it make sense? With
the
that?
thing
Yeah.
is, here's what I'm saying. I may say, hey, it's normal for me to rob a bank.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, does that make sense to you? He said, yeah, for me,
Yeah,
that's
do you
normal
get
as well.
me?
Then we see eye to eye.
Right.
We can be gangsters
Bonnie
together.
and
We can be
Clyde.
gangsters together.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Can we break a bank together?
Yes. Is my logic logical with you?
Yeah.
So I think
yeah.
what is important is that we must ask ourselves, is my logic logical with that person? You know, that person say, I want to travel the world. You'll go, oh, that's stupid. But who am I going to travel the world with?
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I'm married to you, I think I would like to travel with you as well.
Yeah.
So your logic has to be on the same plane.
I have another question for that, but I want Patricia to answer first because I have I hope I remember it. But go ahead, Patricia.
No,
answer
ask the
yours.
question because I'm still thinking.
Yeah, because now I'm thinking now, what if, are we saying now that, because traveling the world, as using that example, is sometimes could be somewhat of a hobby, right? Now, are you trying to insinuate to some level or to a certain extent, like being, not having the same type of hobby
Interest.
with interests as your partner can become problematic down the line?
Well-
Whereas you have to kind of have some type of same,
We may not have the same hobby.
okay.
The question is, life is not about knowing. The question is, are you willing to learn?
Okay.
So we may not have the same hobby, but are you open to
Right.
doing
Right.
it? And when
to-
you
like a
when
deal
you like
breaker.
somebody, baseball is one of the most boring sport ever. But my son plays baseball. But girl, let me tell you, when he's playing baseball, I'm all into it. When you like someone, when they're doing something, all of a sudden you
you
connected
get
to it.
interested.
Wow, that's
Does that make
beautiful.
sense?
That
So
makes,
you don't
yeah,
have to have the same hobby.
Yeah.
But the fact that someone you love and like is doing something,
Is
all of a
doing it.
sudden you
That's it.
connected
You
to
get
it.
you get
I love
connected
that.
into it.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, why don't you answer the question?
Yeah, while you're still
Osel?
thinking,
Yeah.
I think one mine is from my grandmother. I mean, coming from spiritual background, I guess she pretty much told me you could pray, I guess, 10 times, well, 2 times. She gave me specific example. If you're praying 2 times about, decisions about school or college, or you're praying three times about decisions about what should I eat today, or like just regular decision when it comes to marriage, double it, because you need direction in which you can only marry. You want to marry people that are, I guess, in line with the God-given purpose. Your God-given purpose, because marriage shouldn't just be, oh, I like you and I love you and I want to be with you. It should be purpose-filled, right? So when God put 2 people together, you want that person to come, like you said. I think it ties in with, are you guys going to be purpose partners? Are you going to be on the same mission together? Are you kind of be aligned?
Yeah.
Right?
Do we pick our partners, or speaking of, or did somebody pick society, or somebody already dictate those things for us?
I think
do we
society,
have do we have
influence.
enough knowledge or information to make that selection at the age that we normally make it in the society, or we follow a traditional path saying that you graduate college, you got a job now, it's time for you to get married. Have we got to a point where we go like, hey, is this marriage thing
It's like
something for me?
automatic.
Yeah, it's like
Is
a
it happening now? Can we get it done now?
Right. Is
You
it for
know?
me?
Yeah.
Just because my brother did it, do I need to do it? Or do I go toward my own path? Or we just say, hey, that's what society says. I do it. Then 5 years later, I'm ending up with this girl. I can't stand you, but we're still together.
But we're still together
yeah,
because
yeah,
I've known
you
you.
know, so,
yeah. I would I'm gonna go back to that, but I think one of the most valuable advice that I've been given was you have to know what you want out of this relationship, because it's not gonna be in love all the time, and there's gonna be hard time, there's gonna be challenging time, but you need to have the bigger picture in mind. Like, what is it that you are doing here? And as long as you can't be clear on what is it that you are doing here, you're always going to have an exit in the back of your mind, and you're always going to have to find like the shortcut solution when sometimes you have to keep looking at the bigger picture. Especially when you're building a family, and then you have your children, and then you have this vision of what legacy you want to create with this family. So now, if I'm not thinking of my legacy and my husband walk in and then we get into like some kind of argument or something like that, like if I don't have that in my mind, like any little thing can kind of just be like, oh, okay, let's start over, or let's just do something quick to make us feel better.
But
You know?
let me ask you the question then. Could that agenda be detrimental in itself?
Yes.
To the point where you said, I gotta know what I want.
Right.
Do you what about the other person?
Exactly.
Are you coming in to invest in me, or are you coming in to retrieve
invest-
from me?
There you go.
So I think what we are having in our society, like I said, I'm not giving anybody advices. You do whatever the heck that you want to do. At the end of the day, you're a grown person.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, my observation is that the personal interest, what is the agenda for me? What do I want? I want to have that Mercedes or whatever. I can get that Mercedes through this
that
person,
person.
and then I'm gonna. But I think the question should be,
The common goal, though.
what can I contribute? Can I
There you go. That's where I was gonna get that.
add value to your life?
To your life.
That's a conversation we ought to have. How can you? It's a business conversation. I think one of the biggest mistakes is to approach marriage with the idea of emotional idea, where we fail the intellectual part of the notion. It's a business conversation.
Yeah.
How can you bring value to my life? Tell me. What about you? How can you do it? How can I do it? And what steps are you going to take to
break.
act on those things? That's a very business-like conversation that I think
which
we ought to have.
which we often do not have.
We don't.
We don't have
Well,
because we
because-
fall in love. That's
because-
what happens.
It's the feeling of love. Really, the idea of marriage
Right.
people are going after.
Right.
It does. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No. I was just thinking, does that mean that, because you're saying like, what can I add to your life, or what can I bring in the value that I can bring? Do you think that people are taking a little bit? Do you think it matters how long you get to know someone to know that the kind of value you can add to them?
They can add to them.
add to their life, and the type of value they can add to your life. Do you think that there's
And
an
it's
amount
that
of
set in
time
stone.
that you need to date?
Time
we'll say
doesn't.
the word
The thing is,
to get to know someone.
Time-
It is that set in stone. That's not set in stone.
people misunderstand the notion of time. Sleeping in the garage does not make you a car. You can sleep in the darn garage all day. You're not going to become a car. It's not the time. It's the work that is taking place during the time. That's the reason why you see someone in America for 10 years don't speak a word of English. Somebody's been here for 1 year and speak all the English in the world because they put it in the time.
Yeah.
So I think what's important is that I need to be able, relationship is built on a certain level of trust. I need to be able to trust that you're going to do what you tell me you're going to do. You said, this is the agenda. I'm going to go to medical school. I'm going to do this. We're going to do this. This is our project together. Let's give time for those projects to develop. And over time, I'm going to realize that, hey, you know what? This girl keeps her word. Our core does not change. If you're a liar, you're gonna lie.
Yeah, you could lie all you
Right,
want. You
right.
could lie your way into the
Right,
marriage.
right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but
But over time, it reveals itself.
of course,
It does.
And that's why I'm saying, will you ever, I guess you will never know, like you say, you just have to trust that instinct that this person is who they say they are.
but it's gonna be verified. That's the reason why I'm not gonna get you today, just like they do in the church. You converted today. Tomorrow you become
And
a
then
pastor.
you
You gotta
become-
take time. Meaning that, hey, you know,
So you don't subscribe to the idea of getting converted for some, well, I guess this person
That,
is converted, now I
that's
can
just like
marry
a
each
wrong
other.
notion altogether.
yeah. You take the
Yeah,
time, get to
yeah.
know you. You said, hey, you're going to med school. See your study habits. I see how you solve problems. I see you in different situations when you're angry, when you broke. You know, I get to see you in different situations. Those things will tell me your psychology. Those things will tell me your psychology. How do you deal with adversity? How do you deal when somebody call you names? How do you deal with those things? When you fail those exams, how do you deal with it? It's going to tell me, is that the person I want to go to war with?
But how about like how you never really know a person until you move in with them?
You don't know, but the
Yeah.
core does not. That's why I keep on saying the core does not change. I mean, I see this building. I know the foundation of this. Once I realize the foundation is good, that's all I need. I don't know the details in all the rooms, but I know the foundation is good.
Because I feel like there is a gray line because there are people that you can never guess their foundation until you leave in one.
Then I don't have time for it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing.
That's
That's
how you
what I'm
have
thinking.
psychopaths.
Yeah,
but
we
the-
do have
then I don't have-
psychopaths
Then
for a
you have the
reason.
love bombing, and then you have
Then I
like
don't
they're
have time
all
for you.
about you and things, and you can't see the foundation, but like okay, they love me, and then you walk into like a nightmare.
I
And
can
that's
tell
how
you.
you
get
have
into that
criminals.
cycle of
Okay,
abuse, and
then
you don't
you're not
even
ready.
realize
And then
it.
you
Because
don't even
with
realize
abuse, what
it.
they do is they groom you, right?
Exactly.
So if there's grooming happening, how are you?
Let me ask you a question. If there's a $2 million dollar building here, you want to buy the building, you like it. The inspection report coming, I don't know what it's saying. Would you invest that money? You don't know what the result. You're ambivalent about the inspection report. Would you invest in that building? No.
But you know what the
So-
sad part is? People take the risk
Well,
anyway.
yes,
take the
yes.
risk.
Okay,
That's what
then you
I think.
deserve what you get.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't say you didn't.
That is out. That is very.
That's very tricky.
That's
Well,
hard.
but Patricia,
That
here's what I want
is.
you to understand. It's like you go buy a car. You go like, I'm not gonna test drive it. I don't want to know what's in it. I'm just gonna take it. Well, you understand that there's a possibility you get a good car. There's a probability, I should say,
By
you get
test
a bad one.
driving, I'm just going.
Oh Lord.
Wow.
What are you
Now,
insinuating?
I need to pray.
I need
I need
more.
to-
I need more clarification.
Well,
here.
there's
Test drive your
nothing to
car.
clarify. Test drive, I just told you. I see.
Can
I
you
didn't know
please
y'all were gonna
in
put you in the
a
spot.
simple term for relationship?
We're not. We're totally not thinking about it.
Did you test drive yours? Is that what you?
No,
You didn't test.
by all
My
means
God.
necessary.
Well, you just lucky.
I did not get to test drive.
What?
But you know something. Let's
I just
let's
trusted
center the
I just
conversation.
trusted, like you said.
Yeah. So whatever you get, you get.
Yeah, you just happen to have a good one.
Yeah.
But understand that you played the lottery.
So could we say that there's always the lottery possibility
Okay. Yeah.
when you marry somebody because you
Yes.
never know what you're getting.
But you have to know that, hey, you know what? I did my due diligence. The fact that you do your due diligence, that does not eliminate the probability or the possibility of
Of
problems.
risk. But you're working
But
with
you
eyes
can go
open.
back and say, you know what?
I tried.
I did my due diligence.
yeah.
I did my research buying this piece of real estate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did my research, and the inspection report said everything was fine. But if you buy 3, 4, 5 buildings that with crappy foundation, you the problem.
You're the problem.
Wow.
Well, I'm glad you say that. Okay. So we were having this conversation. I mean, without going personal, I don't want to put my families out there, but like when you see a pattern within the family, and it doesn't have to be within your marriage, like when you see a pattern within the woman or the man in your family, don't think you exempt from that. Because when everybody in your family have the same marriage
Issues.
you are the problem. And I was talking to a family about that, about things that you see over and over. And like, I mean, we are happy people. We get together, your life, we're pleasant, you're easygoing and things like that. But then you're like, maybe it's not so much that you marrying the wrong people, or it could be that you have something in you that keep attracting the
There you
same
go.
people. And then your parents passed on that same thing to you, but you need to find out what is it.
That's why we
So you can address it if it's a coping, if it's a trauma thing, if it's like a habit, if it's just like whatever it is. You need to know what is it that's just perpetrating that pattern, and then start addressing that pattern even before you start dating people.
That's why you see people that are in toxic relationships. Sometimes you can tell like they are doing some. There's some trauma bonding happening here. It's not really a relationship. It's just I'm attracted to what
To your
we've been through,
'cause
to your
we've been
trauma.
through the
We've been
same
through
thing.
Yeah,
something.
we
Yeah,
identify.
same
We
thing,
identify through the
exactly.
trauma.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that maybe you need to know yourself
You
before
need
you
to know
bring somebody
There you
else
go.
up.
That's it. Yeah.
Know yourself, know your tendencies. strengths, your weaknesses,
Yeah.
your who you are, and all those things before you bring somebody else in. I mean, you by yourself, you're already complicated. Now you got to bring a second person to this business. So I think that's what I'm hearing you saying. Now, some folks do argue, mostly those who the voodooists argue of the notion of spiritual partner. Meaning that just when I say they argue, I cannot speak to to the validity of this thought process. Meaning that you were married to a specific loi or ancestral spirit and that's supposed to be your husband or that's supposed to be your wife. Therefore, you are not gonna have any covenant with anybody else. Or
That does happen.
if you do have that covenant, then there'll be trouble in those
trouble.
relationships. I don't know. It's just I told you the way I look at religion is more from a distance at times. So I guess that's a question that to be asked as well. Is there a force outside of me that is preventing the growth of the relationship that I'm trying to build?
I believe that's true. There is, and that's also true for the Christianity
Christianity.
side, because they said when you're in the Word and when you study the Word and you are led by the Holy Spirit, you have a light on you.
Yeah.
And that light is not gonna go well with any type of energy,
Nope.
because there is we are all spiritual beings.
We are more spiritual.
We are more spiritual than physical.
Physical,
yeah. I might just be in love with you, but every time I get with you, it's
Yeah.
chaos.
Yep.
Why? I mean, I'm not intentionally doing something. It's not like you're going out of your way to make my life a living hell. But it's just like every time I meet you, something doesn't go
Not in
well.
the same accord.
Like we're not on the same frequency. So and I don't think people think enough about the spiritual aspect of do we have the same mission, the same vision, like where we're going in life, like do we have the interest? But it's like, does my energy, it's not even chemistry, because you could have amazing sex with somebody, but it's just like when you get on the practical aspect of life, you can do anything together.
But also too, since you're in the spiritual aspect as well, I think we don't want to neglect the part that there is the generational I would say curse.
There is.
From women, you will see, you were talking about different families, and you can see in that family, women just doesn't keep a guy. And they say, do you see that line? It's like, it's just impossible for them to stay in a healthy relationship. Or if they are in a relationship, it's most likely toxic.
Or could it be cultural in the sense that the culture of the home that is passed from one female to another, or it could be the guy as well, but could it be cultural in the sense that nous même femmes dans famille ça nous pas dans avec moun. Tout le fashion point.
Translation.
I don't know how to translate that.
We don't play
around.
Yeah,
Women in this family don't play around.
Yeah, c'est comme ça maman te kon fait, le garçon c'est comme ça te li. Moi maman fait comme ça. Now you have to realize that no man with common sense gonna put up with your nonsense.
Wow.
So instead of blaming the devil or whatever spirit, you need to look at yourself and stop being rude and ugly.
And also,
let's be real.
But could you also be attracting the men that initially would just cave in for that would be attracted to that personality, but later on find out I can't live with it?
Well,
like the men that you actually don't respect.
Because there, let's talk about the fact that sometimes men said that they like strong women.
Okay,
that's a lie.
Okay. To what extent?
In some aspects, because you also have to define what is strong.
Well, I was gonna go there because the guys. I know I'm outnumbered, but come on now, I gotta do something for the dudes here.
Yeah, I know. I'll just take that back. But because if you don't define what is that for you, like the same thing that attract you to that person, and they say that a lot. Actually, that's another thing that I learned also about marriage. They said the same thing that attract you to that person is gonna piss you off later on.
Especially from y'all. when
What you trying to
when
say?
y'all love a guy, you say I love it so much. He talks to me all the time. He communicates. When y'all can stand him, y'all say this guy all he do is yap 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 in my ears. That's my child. The same thing.
Perspective, it just changes.
You know, yep. That's all he yap 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 in
can't
my ears.
stop
I'm sorry.
Why you ain't lying?
No, but to go back to the cultural aspect, the reason that I'm bringing in like the strong woman, because especially in our Caribbean culture, we are matriarchal, I guess we can say. A lot of families, we are raised by like the woman is the bone of the family. You know, they do everything like you are raised like you are growing up in a household where the person who's in charge of the household and who's also doing like selling the stuff and then managing everything is the woman, and you don't necessarily have like a present male figure in that same household. So it's not really that you the woman want to be strong or you have that toxic trait, but now you become so independent.
Well,
You know,
I
and I'm not saying that it's wrong.
that's fine. No, that's fine. But I think we should not confuse strong with disrespectful.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the
Okay.
line.
Yeah.
I think I do believe that the notion of being a strong, meaning that I want my woman to know, honey, with you, without you, I can be
I can
great.
do it.
Great. Exactly.
That's the notion. I think that's the notion that men appreciate. But we still have we are created with this hunter mentality that I
wanna
want.
be
Everybody wants to be knitted,
I was just
and you
gonna
have
say.
to you want to be knitted by the right person.
Yes.
And if you supposed to be complimentary to me, and all of a sudden you say I don't need you, this whole thing, and you know that
I
thing.
actually
That's
don't
what
believe
we
in
say.
that.
So-
Yeah.
I don't believe in that,
But that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. So now, how am I supposed to feel that
What's
now
my
you
job?
continue to reduce me and shrink me? There are many ways that we can be a strong woman. But I think we need to draw the line between what is strong and
disrespectful.
And what is disrespectful
and
I
taking
and
wonder-
over.
diminish it. Yeah.
I wonder if the I don't need you, mentality comes from more of the traumatic experience that women probably face with, whether it's from their family, line, or men that they've encountered, or the men that they attract, where it's like, because they feel
You've
like
let me down so many
met me now
times.
so many times. So now psychologically, I have to tell myself
That's
that I
what it
don't
sounds
need
like.
a man to survive, right?
That's-
I gotta survive. I gotta take care of these things, and I have to step up, especially if they have children, because we see the way that our society is, where there's not a lot of, we'll say specifically Black men in
Yeah.
their homes, and
Yeah.
that's what we're seeing being projected. So could it be
I agree with you 100%.
okay?
If you saying it to yourself, I didn't tell you you need me. You
Yeah.
come out and say I don't need you,
Right.
so
I
you
don't
must be
know.
hearing it from
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah,
Right,
This has
right.
common
Yeah,
sense. This
yeah.
whole notion that you have to understand the idea of male and female. It's it's complementary concept.
Yep.
The guys who's doing the electronic, they know you need a male and a female for a relationship for the things to match. Plumbers will tell you.
That's true.
That's true.
For
Actually,
it
facts.
to
You
synchronize,
need
you
negative
you
and
cannot take two
positive
males. I
energy.
know we're in 2024, but they still
Oh.
you cannot take the natural order
Yeah.
Yeah.
in plumbing and electricity and all these things.
Yeah.
You need it.
You need the opposite.
So what we need to start understanding, we complement one another. It's not contradictory. So this notion that I don't need you, that's not how it works. I complement you. Because remember, you go back to the spiritual thing that you were saying.
But we also need to know how. Because there is also the cookie cutter of complementing each other that society has placed on us.
There you go.
Complimenting might mean that you cook,
Right?
and then I work.
I'll tell you how.
And then complimenting for that person is not that, okay, I'm a man, but I cook.
Right.
You know, and then while so he has to be a balance within your own family, not what you're like, oh, you're a woman, you're supposed to know how to do this.
You should define it
You
for
should
your
define it
relationship.
for your own
Yes, let me
relationship.
tell you
define
something.
it
For the
your
family
relationship.
unit.
Yeah.
You cannot be in any relationships, whether it's romantic or non-romantic, with anyone without becoming a student of that person.
That's a good.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
You have to become a student of that person. I play pickup basketball. I take a lot of pride in having a lot of versatility. So if I'm on the team, I realize that, you know what, this team need a point guard, somebody to bring the ball down. Automatically, I'm not playing down low
Switch role, yeah.
because I realize this team is missing a point guard. I'm taking the ball. If I realize that I have two guys that can bring the ball down, you need to put me down at the 4. Meaning that I'm going to be down in the low post and grab that rebound. If I realize I have 4 guys not playing defense, I'm going to take the defensive assignments. So what must happen is that we must become emotionally aware enough that I can study you. This lady is better in finance than I am. Then she becomes the head of the household in finance.
Finance.
And
Yep.
finance, right.
That area.
right.
I am a better cook. Then I
You
complement
take
the whole
Together,
thing.
yeah. But
Yeah,
the problem
but there has
is
to be a
that sometimes
conversation.
It has to be in what I think is sometimes an issue is people egos, especially if we want to talk about the male ego, where it's like, well, if I'm not taking
Why are you
care
talking
of
about the
it-
male? You're looking at me like
the male and the female
you're
ego.
looking at me like I'm gonna beat you up.
Not you
I feel
specifically,
targeted.
doctor. Not you specifically, but I've heard that, you know, people, well, if you don't need me to do this, and you always the one try to take care of something, they're not aware, like you said, emotional awareness is not there, and that tends to kind of break the relationship because they feel like now I'm not needed if I can do this, but they don't realize, well, if this person is good at it, why don't you kind of submit to that idea? Because now with this feminism,
Let's not get into that.
we gotta submit and to the man and things like that, or like not.
I mean, they're twisting it. That's what you said.
Yeah,
I mean now it has gotten like a bad rap on
Bad
how
rap.
everything is going
Yeah.
and things like that. When really, women, everybody just want to rest. I feel like in our generation, most of us just want to go back to having our roles.
And
No,
what is that?
I mean, we want to go back
Define
to
that.
defining our roles.
Define the
You know,
roles.
well, I mean, within our own. Honestly,
Define the
okay.
roles.
Let's think about it for a minute. Okay.
Got a creative vision? XMD Productions brings it to life. From top-tier video production and photography to live streaming, event coverage, and podcasts, they do it all. Need a pro studio space? They've got you covered with a fully equipped setup ready for your next project. Based in Boynton Beach, Florida, XMD is your one-stop shop for all things creative. Check out their work and book your next project at xmdproductions.com. That's xmdproductions.com.
I know like roles can change, and then you know, you have to base on your families and the needs of the family or whatever. But when it used to be that it's just clear that the man is the provider and the woman is the nurturer, and no matter, and when I say nurturer, that doesn't mean you just cook and clean, because even in the Bible, those women, they were entrepreneurs. So they had their own businesses. But that does not mean that we just say now all of a sudden, we don't want kids because we have to go pursue all of those things. Like, you know, the home can take care of itself or whatever. So we still attended to these things, but we are able to be entrepreneurs and have our businesses and things like that. We had that flexibility. Okay. So now I feel like we have gone to such an extreme level where like men will ask you if they can open your door. Like, I want my door to be open.
open, no matter-
I want to be cared for. I don't want to be asked if you can hold my suitcase because I'm so strong and independent. I want it to be like an automatic thing.
Yeah.
But now I feel like now with our society has taken it to such an extreme level where men has to it becomes like I'm doing you a favor by doing things that you were supposed to do in the first place, you know? So now it's like, okay,
You know what I think?
it's-
Gender
it's-
roles is kind of
it's just so
they're
confusing
just
right now.
psychologically just hindering us
Well,
in a
It is.
relationship.
I don't think it's confusing. I think you must keep society out of your home. Meaning that,
Big one.
meaning
Big facts.
that, keep society out of your home.
Big
You know
facts.
what works between you and your husband.
Amen.
Yeah.
Your husband, all you need is you need 2 votes.
You need, yeah,
You don't need society vote. The hell with society.
that's right.
Okay, so I think it's very important for you to keep society out of your home.
Mm-hmm.
What you do is, hey, honey, does that work for you? Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah,
It works for me.
exactly.
That's right. Good.
Exactly.
As long as we are not doing anything that is illegal, where that society is going to put us behind bars,
Yeah.
then
yeah.
we're not doing anything that is inconsistent with your spiritual following, then it has to be. You got to keep the church out of your home. You got to keep society out of your home, and then you just do you. Isn't that
works
what
for
you do?
For the both of
You do you. I don't care what they say as to who should be paying the bills or whatever. If you happen to be in school and I have the
I'm the one
means,
taking
it
care of
works
it.
for me, and we do it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
It's a partnership.
It's a partnership.
It should
It's
be.
a partnership, and the partnership doesn't necessarily mean it's a financial contribution all the time.
That's
Because
There you go.
That's it.
the
That's what
big-
people
That's it.
miss.
Yes, the big
Yep.
deal nowadays is 50-50.
Right.
I
was
am
gonna ask,
cultured.
what do you feel about this?
No.
I'm
No,
cultured. I'm
no.
obviously I'm a cultural Haitian. I don't describe myself as just Haitian.
Oh wow.
I'm a cultural Haitian. That part of the culture I admire. I take responsibility, paying what I'm a man. I'm in charge. That way. I pay my stuff. I don't need your money. My ego would not let me do that. My grandpa told me that, you know what? Ou pa fè test, ou pa fè kay sou te femme.
Wow.
Depuis m'piti. Meaning that before you go get a girl, you got to have your own land. So you can build
You
your
know
own.
you know that's in the Bible.
I didn't know that.
It is.
I didn't know
it's in
that.
Proverbs.
Yes, you crazy?
I mean,
I don't
that's
need you to
how
pay
do
my
you
light
think
bill.
They're gonna marry those women most
Yeah,
of the time. The women
I don't
were
need
working,
you to pay my
so-
light bill. That doesn't sit well with me. But that's me.
Right,
That's what
right.
works for me. You do whatever the heck that you want to do in your household, as long as you get those 2 votes that we talked about.
So
Yeah.
key here, take society.
Take
from
society
marriage.
and the church out of your home. But I want us to touch on what is considered a healthy marriage, because there has to be, even though we're going to keep society out of it, there has to be a consensus on what you think is healthy and what is not. Because sometimes you're
Consensus
looking
from
at,
who?
you mean to tell me, like, I can be looking at somebody's relationship and think this is abusive.
Right.
And some abuse
Right.
is not subjective.
Right.
Some abuse is just abuse, you know? But the person in it, and if we study in the cycle of abuse, that like the people that keep you keep going back and you keep going back until you die or something happened and then you decide, oh my God, my eyes are open. But the people from the outside understand and is looking at it that this is not good for you. And this is why we can also go back to the fact that parents used to pick for you. You know, back then. And what they used to pick your partner is based on the history of whether of the family of
Families.
that partner or the pattern that they've observed from your own behavior.
Right.
Because when parents are picking my partner, they're looking at me and
Knowing
seeing
you.
my personality.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing all the
It's
time.
not.
It was not.
It's not. I mean, they stayed longer.
And not only
they
that,
stayed married
you realize
longer
all
anyway.
marriage, all marriage are arranged marriages.
Really?
Yes, because you met this guy. Your friend said, "Hey, this guy look good. I'm gonna introduce you to my girl." And before you know, you said, "Okay, yeah," but it was your friend who arranged it with that with this guy. Say, "Hey, come talk to my girl." So technically, that's a type of arrangement.
Yeah.
Now the question is, do you want someone with common sense? I want to be involved in that arrangement. And I'm hoping that when I'm making that decision, I have enough common sense to know what is in the best interest of Jesse Belazaire. And can Jesse Belazaire work for the best interest of that person that I'm bringing in?
Now,
It's
but
arranged.
I want to know, like, because I want to dive into the question that Patricia just asked, though, because I feel like, to what extent will we know
know.
that this is not healthy,
Or
right?
this is healthy.
Or this is healthy. Because I know, like, we know that it is subjective. You know, it is what you make it, and it is a contract between two people, right? That's what matters. But if someone is on the outside and looking in and notice specific clear lines of, you know, whether it's physical, emotional, or you know, like sexual abuse, to what extent do we say, well, since they both okay with staying, then it's okay, it's fine?
Well, I mean, even
I
Stevie
got
Wonder.
stories. Even in our culture, like, we'll say the man is beating, you know, his wife, and the wife is gonna protect him,
Well,
like,
Yeah,
because
they
she
do
feels
that.
like it's fine.
Oh,
It's
let me tell
okay.
you something interesting, very weird. And I keep, as I was studying, I mean, when I studying psychology in college, and I realized that my professor was so wrong in high school in Haiti. So he told us that joke about a man who had 3 girlfriends and is trying to see which one of them he wants to keep and marry. So he went to the house of the first one. He beat her, and then like beat her. Let me say it again, so people don't think that I said bite. Like pull his whatever belt and then beat her, and then it's like, and then he gave them each one egg and said, like, the day that you break this egg, you kill me. Okay, I would die. So the first one, after he bit her, and then she pulled the egg and was like, hey, here you go, whatever, and then broke it. The second one did the same thing. And then the third one, after he bit her, and then the third one, and then he's looking at her like, aren't you gonna do anything? And he's like, oh, what should I do? Neg mwen fin bat mwen mwete. And then we all laugh. I was in 6th grade. We all laugh because it was a joke that he's gonna marry the woman that he bit down and decided, this is my man. I have nothing else to do. And I'm thinking, like I'm in college, I'm studying psychology and things, and I'm like, I was laughing at that joke in the classroom, and we were all just little young girls, like 13, 14 years old, and then we just like listening to that as a joke in our culture, you know?
even Stevie Wonder can see what abuse is. I mean, if it's somebody beating the heck out of you, they're cussing you out, you know, it's obvious. And even the blind can see it. Okay? Now, just because it's abuse, that does not mean that it is not a choice. You still have the right to free will. You decide that that's what you want at this time, or that's what serves a specific purpose. I'm not saying that it's not complicated. If you look at existential therapy, you know, with Jean-Paul Sartre, the Americans say Sartre because they simply cannot pronounce it in French.
Shade. That was a shade, by the way.
Well, call it what you want. Jean-Paul Sartre, he talks about the idea that we make the choices that we are the choices that we make. We all of us have a choice in life. Even if I come here, put a gun in your head, I tell you, give me your purse, you either decide to give it to me or you decide
To die.
to die. So now, yes, it is abuse. There's no question. Now that person, are they at the stage where they are going to get someone? I don't want to just call it therapy. I say a sage, meaning that someone who could see the destruction, and are they willing to come from where they are to where they need to be? If they are not willing, there's nothing you can do. They're going to die in slavery, just like we said. They're going to die in that abusive relationship.
Yeah.
So the minute that they are willing to come from where they are to where they want to be, then that sage is gonna erect a bridge to take them from that where they are to where they need to be.
You just gave me a question. I want to talk about how when we say like you should enter a relationship in terms of what you can contribute to the other person, not just what you're taking out of it. What is the line when you are contributing to the person? Like, when does that become toxic in itself? You know, when you enter in a relationship to give and contribute and build each other, you know, when should we draw the line at like building myself and building you, or when building you start being detrimental to me growing as a person. There's always like that gray area, and I heard somebody
think
said
it's
it
gray.
perfectly.
It's black and white.
Explain to me, please.
I really don't think it's great. I don't think it's great, Patricia. I continue to go to real estate and investment. If I'm buying something, I know the market. This I can sell this for $200,000. I purchased this for $150. Then now I'm $100,000 putting things in. Now I'm already $250. I know I'm negative $50,000 in this. Now I have a choice. Do I want? Is it just the sentimental value? Is there something that I'm just getting? I cannot get away from it because I keep on putting money on this property that is way past the amount that I can sell it for. So now mshitala. I'm not going to school. Ma vo l'école ou aller ou même après ça quitter. Pas vrai?
I was gonna say the growth is not there together. People are not growing
Mshitala.
Together.
M'pas faire pour moi. Let me get back to
Yeah.
to
No.
English. So, there's certain things that you can only
You can't
explain
say it in
them
your
within.
language.
Yeah.
Right.
So, m'ka l'école m'parler, ma vo l'école moi-même m'aller m'pa pour rien.
Your whole life is about that other person.
Après ça, m'a investi pour ça, investi dans ou. But what about me? Do I love myself as well?
Yeah.
Can I love you more than I love myself?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That
big.
in itself
And I think,
is detrimental.
but the people not the love that you have for yourself also it shows and it reflects on the kind of partner you pick.
Okay, then you're sick. That's not my problem if you're sick.
That's like it's your problem.
I mean,
But
you're
then
sick.
but yes, they are. It is. Yeah, it is. But how are you going to help someone like that if you do see them? Because sometimes they're drowned in it because of circumstances, right?
Yeah.
Product of environment and to some extent. So how do you try to help someone like that?
It's a very
What is the best
easy
way?
concept. Freud, psychoanalysis, talk about the purpose of therapy is to bring the unconscious conscious. Isn't that what it is?
Yeah.
So my job is to bring the unconscious conscious. Do you realize you are putting all your means into this lady and you're doing nothing for yourself?
For yourself.
Do you meaning that's what bringing it to the consciousness?
Right.
Once I bring it to the consciousness, your job is very simple. What are you gonna do about
What are
it?
you gonna do for yourself?
Because realization is not an accomplishment. I can realize that I don't know how to read. That doesn't make it
Not
an
do anything
accomplishment.
about
you
it,
start
right?
reading.
So-
Like faith without action.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do I do it? Bring the unconscious
Faith without
conscious,
works.
and then we go from psychoanalysis to a solution-focused approach, not to be too textbook or whatever. And then the person have to want it. But if you go, oh, that's my baby. Oh yeah, he needs to have it. Well, that's fine.
That's
What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do with you?
Yeah.
Spend your money on your baby.
Eventually you make the choice.
That's life.
Yeah.
And I mean, we always say that love is a choice too, right?
Yeah, it
you
is.
choose who
It
you
is.
love.
Yeah.
But I
I think what we must avoid is to take other people's burden, is to live the pain of other people's decision as if they had nothing to do with it. I don't have time to take on your pain.
that is very deep.
That's
I
not
don't
my
have
business.
time to take on your pain. Yeah.
Wow.
Because we all have to take responsibility for ourselves.
Yes.
technically,
At some point.
but okay. So now I want to challenge that because I know
Go ahead
I
and
got some
challenge it.
time.
Go ahead and
have
challenge
something
it.
else. I have something
only
else on that
only
too.
because obviously I'm looking at the spiritual aspect of this, right? I'm gonna go even deeper when we say that you are married because we didn't
You
define
become one.
marriage, right? You become one with that person.
with that.
Although you are two individual people,
Yeah.
right? But there is something that I know that they talk about with soul ties, and that's why I know you speak about the voodooist as well, but we also know it in Christianity,
Christianity,
and
yeah.
spiritually, it is a thing where if you are connected with that person, a lot of those things can be transferable without your knowledge.
Without
Let me-
yeah,
let me-
yeah.
So now
Let me fix
you
this.
consciously is telling
Carrying
yourself,
the
I am
burdens.
not trying to carry your burden
But
or
you
carry
are.
that pain, but spiritually you already are.
There's a
So
there's a level of let me make sure that we make sure that those two ideas are running in parallel lines.
Okay.
Yeah.
You asked me, how do I help someone like that in therapy?
Got
Which
you.
departed from the idea, this is my wife.
Got you.
Okay. Now, I agree with you that once that you love a person, you married that person, their suffering become your suffering. Their God become your God. Because when you love someone, you see them suffering, and then automatically
You
you're
start
suffering
suffering
as well.
too.
Then
Yeah.
you're motivated to solve that suffering. That's completely different.
Different
So
from
the
just a
question that
dating
you first
aspect.
asked was that, how do I help a person? And that's when I went into the idea that I'm not going to take that pain. I'm not going to take your burden.
Okay.
I'm not going to suffer that.
have
But
someone
when it comes to the union with you and someone that you married, that person's suffering becomes your suffering.
Okay,
And
so I want to also
now what-
challenge. I
so
want to
now
also
what
challenge
can
that
you
as
do?
well.
Yeah, right.
Because I know with the let's say we're talking about in the dating aspect in therapy, how would you help that person, right? We have to be real here. In this society right now, everybody's can sleep with whomever they want. Spiritually, they're connected, whether they like it or not, right? Now you have a society where everybody's doing everyone. They try to detach it because people say, "Hey, I'm not attached to that person. I can just do what I want." Which, by all means, necessary. Do what you want. That's your lifestyle. You choose what you please. How would you, you know what I'm saying? Would you now advise that person to say, well, technically, you want to detach yourself and not carrying people's burden, but you are spiritually.
if they are dating,
You see what I'm saying? Because sometimes you don't have to be married for you to be carrying somebody else's
well,
pain or burden in that aspect because you
Then-
already
This is-
spiritually
Then here's my
connected
question.
to that
Here's my
person,
question.
right? How do we dissociate that
here's my
without
question.
judgment?
Why am I
too?
paying to service a rental car?
Jesus Christ.
It's not my
The
car.
Analogy.
Yeah.
Have you ever taken a rental car to the dealership for service? No, it's not your car. So if I don't, you're not my wife. We don't share that suffering. Now you come up with all those problems. Ou ta comme arithmétique ou plein problème. Kounya la mchita la, and absorb all your problems. Yet there's no commitment. I'm not. What am I? What is going on here?
Yeah, and that's what's wrong with
What am I doing here? So I go in the street, I find you, hey, there's no commitment. There's nothing that's legally or spiritually, whatever, religiously, whatever. Yet, that's what I choose to be. Maybe you're looking for that type of brokenness in order for you to feel yourself.
Sure.
So you are
Save your
getting your own
mentality.
stuff in there.
Savior complex.
So you getting your own stuff in there. Don't pretend that you're
not
the victim
getting-
of it. You
yeah.
getting your own stuff in
That
here.
is true. You always want to have somebody to
you
save,
save,
and you
yeah.
wanna
At the end of the day, we are selfish beings.
Wow.
We are selfish beings. We don't do what we do just because of how it makes the other people feel. When you see a baby coming to the church or wherever you go, you give that baby a hug. You don't give the baby a hug because of the baby. The baby does not
You
ask
feel
you for
good
it
when you
because
give
it
the
makes
hug.
you feel good. If I give $1 million to your organization, it's because the work
feel
that
good
you are
about-
doing.
You can relate or feel.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
If
That's
I
why
don't
people-
believe in the work that you're doing, if I can't relate, I will not give you $1 million. So giving at times could be the most selfish thing you could ever do because
is-
you do it for your own pleasure.
Yeah, which is why also, if you don't
Y'all
love
getting me
yourself
started,
enough,
man.
I love it.
We
We
just
get
get
started.
you fired.
We lit up your fire.
just get it fired up.
You up there, Shirley?
Which is why I think, I mean, if we can go back to the Bible in general, we all know that love your neighbor as yourself. Like if you don't love yourself enough to do good things for yourself, it's going to be very hard for you to put out that positive
Which begs-
energy. And do something that's actually going to contribute genuinely to that other person. You
Which
know?
begs the question. That's that's for a different conversation. Let's say that the love was at a level. If I love myself at a 5, right? Because I love the neighbor as I love myself, meaning the same intensity, the same level, same thing, right? And I love my neighbor as a 5. Do I then fulfill the biblical requirement? Does that make sense? Because he says love the neighbor. Like I said,
As yourself.
that's a
Like
separate
what you-
conversation.
Okay.
So if I love myself, if I don't think too good of myself for me to be putting a bunch of things, nasty stuff in my body, smoking a bunch of stuff, doing a bunch of stuff, negative self-talk to myself. So if I cuss out my neighbor, that's not bad because it's the same level of treatment that I give to myself.
that I give to yourself.
This shouldn't be against biblical principle.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the reason why they didn't want me to read the Bible.
Oh my goodness. I think you flip it a little bit.
I don't flip it because let me tell you, Judaism is about a set of laws that you're trying to tell me Christianity should be just accepted as is. Judaism is a set of laws, the law of Moses, if you remember. It's the idea of finding the loophole that I can do what I do and still not be held sinful against the word. It's the loophole. That's what it is. It's a set of laws, the laws of Moses.
Well, the laws of Moses kind of just doesn't. I mean, no longer applies after Jesus came.
But if you look at,
I mean, not no longer applies.
But that's a parenthesis.
I mean, like eye for eye.
Oh, I like.
I know because the Ten Commandments.
That's a different conversation. Don't get me in there.
Eye for eye, that kind of like, because then when Jesus came, it's kind of like you just leave the vengeance to me. That's where I'm gonna.
And that's a side note.
Go with
We're gonna
it. So
get
I don't
back.
like when people kind of just want to use the law of Moses as like a foundation, like a core foundation for everything else.
Let's get back to.
We're gonna get back,
to
but
marriage.
Let's go back to marriage.
if God said, "Vengeance is my work," said the Lord. If He sent me here to do His work, you can fill in the blank. See our troublemakers. All right. Let's get back to what we were talking.
I need to go pray on that.
No, that's a side note.
Oh my God.
Well, to go back to marriage.
Thank you.
We're all selfish beings.
but no. On serious note. On a serious
Well,
note.
something. Let's end on this note. Why is it good to be married?
And is marriage for everyone? I want to
the
add
question
on to
is
that
based on an
question.
assumption.
And that's why I'm adding on to that question.
The question is based on an
Is
assumption.
marriage for everyone?
Is
Thank you.
marriage, yeah.
Thank
it's
you.
Not. I was having this conversation with someone close to me, and he was like, it's just that one thing that I never envisioned for my life.
And
it's
we
like
must respect
everything else. Yeah. And I respect that. It's like everything else I wanted, like work and being free from people's opinion and stuff. It's like, I do all of these things, but like marriage, and he's very kind. And like, it's like, I never have in my head that I want to be married one day. And have a family on my own. And I've never really talked to someone close who has that kind of, who's like I've never thought of that.
Yeah.
It's just
but
never came to my.
What did the Apostle Paul say?
Well, I know in the Bible it says like, if you can be single, even better for you.
Okay. So
because then you won't be burdened with having a companion that would also prevent you from serving the Lord truthfully. Yeah. And I know he was saying that in ways that not to, because, I mean, we're still dealing with that pressure too. He was saying that, but in the time for people not to feel like they need to be married, it's that one thing that you have to get to, which is what we're doing in our society right now. It's like that one thing you need to cross off your list.
Yeah, and how many people actually do it because of society tell them to do it?
A lot.
Okay, then.
More than we can count.
I think what's important is to ask the question that you asked, is it for me? And that's everything that you do in life. Everything is not for everybody, but something has to be for somebody.
Yeah.
And you need to understand, but are we intellectually capable of asking that question? Are we emotionally capable of asking the same question?
Man, this conversation was very fulfilling. For me, at least, it just had me thinking the entire time. Like, I'm still thinking right now.
It's one of those open-ended
conversation where it's like, this idea of relationships and healthy relationships and, how to define it between two individuals or however many people want to marry different things nowadays. So, but we haven't really defined what marriage is to us in our beliefs. But
we need to understand it's not our beliefs. We don't want to. Everybody has the right to do whatever the heck that they want to do. Yeah. I don't want to impose my beliefs on anybody whatever those beliefs might be. The idea is to find people to find the something that works for them.
For them.
What works for Jesse Bellinger may not work for you.
For you,
yeah.
But find you.
We should end on that note.
Yeah.
Keep society out of your marriage.
Keep society out of your marriage.
Didn't Kegla say something like that?
Yeah. No, I think it was about sex. I think she said,
Leave the church out of your bed.
Yeah, something like that.
Like
Something In our last
the church
last
elder should
season.
not tell you how to have sex with your wife.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, we gotta keep the church out of our bedroom.
Yeah.
Keep the church out of
Church
your
out of my
bedroom. That's
bedroom
what she
or something
said.
like that.
Yeah.
Last season.
Yeah,
Go
because
ahead and watch that, guys.
it'll be dark. It'll be very dark in there.
And thank you guys for listening to this episode. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. If you feel like you're connected or you got something out of this, comment. Let us know how you feel. If you have a different opinion, we welcome that thought, and we can battle. Maybe Dr. Belizer can go on the comments and try to battle some of these ideas.
I don't care. I don't care because I'm not trying to convert anybody.
Yeah, that's right.
If what you're doing is working for you, keep doing it.
Right.
Why
Yeah,
should
we're
I don't need an extra person on my side.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I find peace. I
Yeah,
create
and I would
peace.
and I would say so we can leave on the note how important it is for you to know yourself.
Know yourself. Yeah.
Before or even within the marriage is very important. Like I mean that's all I have to say.
Know yourself, and also know yourself in different I would say different stages of life, because we grow as human beings, and I think you should be aware and self-aware as how you're evolving, and and are you evolving also in the relationship or with whomever you want to partner with. So that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching again. Thank you for being on your healing journey. That's the step you're taking by watching this episode. And with that being said, mind your wellness, because
it's your business.
Your business.